Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. So, I decided to share this topic with you today out of personal experience of what I'm going through today. I want to talk about, for those of you, and maybe not everyone can relate to this, but I know that lots of you can because I've had this conversation with many people. But I want to talk about the difficulty that we have in accepting help from people and knowing that, I guess, facing the reality that we can't do everything by ourselves. And weeks ago, I think fairly early on, I did an episode about asking for help and how hard it is to ask for help. But I want to kind of look at this from a different perspective. I want to talk about the guilt associated with not being a perfectionist, not being able to do everything by ourselves, the guilt that comes with needing help, um, and just guilt in general. Like the things that we typically feel guilty about are things that we feel like we should be doing and we're not doing them for some reason. It doesn't really matter if the reason is very valid and realistic, we still feel guilty that we can't do these things. And I'm struggling with that today. And so I figured might be a good topic to do. So I'll give you the little bit of a backstory and maybe that'll make sense. So we have two dogs. Our older dog, Maggie, she's a boxer. I'm sorry, wow, Maggie is our dog that we had years ago. Ella is a boxer, and she had surgery last week to remove a couple of masses that she had, and one of them is a pretty big incision on her shoulder and on her front shoulder. So she's, has the cone on to prevent her from licking it, but it doesn't prevent her back leg from coming up and scratching at it. So she'd been doing great for the first few days, and then I guess she noticed that it was there and started messing with it. And so it's been just a few days of really kind of having to focus on that. She's been back to the vet a couple of times to fix her stitches and get more antibiotics and all kinds of things. But it's been a full-time supervision job. So the last couple of days, I was expecting to come to the office. I ended up having to change my schedule last minute in the morning to stay home and work virtually. All my clients were awesome and were fine switching to virtual appointments instead of in person. But today, everything was fine. I left her. She was going to be okay. Well, I checked on her on the camera, and when I left her this morning, she had a cone on, and I had put one of my husband's shirts on her to cover up the incision to just kind of put a little barrier there. Well, I was looking on the camera, couldn't see her, and then finally spotted her, and there's no cone, and the t-shirt is like hanging off of her. She managed to somehow take it off of the one arm that it needed to be on. So I'm in the middle of a session. My client's super cool, knows I'm checking on my dog. So I had to call my mom, and she's the closest person to the house where she is. And so she rushed over there. She was there in 15 minutes and took care of it and, got everything checked on, checked on her. Her incision was fine, fixed her shirt, and I can't leave. I'm stuck at work. My husband isn't able to leave. And so my mom, being the amazing person that she is of course willing to stay, offering to do all these things. And, I really appreciate that. And, was grateful for it. But then the guilt set in. I just started feeling awful that my mom has to stop her day, stop what she's doing, and completely derail her plans to do this for us. And of course, she's thinking I'm crazy because, of course, she's going to do this. She's my mom, and she does everything for us. And that's just her personality. My mom will do anything for us, and she does. And she's always dependable, always reliable, and absolutely has never given me a reason to feel guilty. She's frustrated with me because I feel this way, but I just feel this way. I just feel bad. I feel guilty for it. And I don't know where it comes from. There's no history of this, of anyone making me feel bad or anything like that. And so I was sitting here trying to figure out, how do I change my schedule to maybe go ahead and go home, move some people around. And then Stacy, my friend and coworker, I went to her, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And she's like, okay, what are you freaking out about? Your mom is fine. You don't need to go home. Why aren't you letting your mom do this? And she was right. I wasn't accepting my mom's help. And I was feeling bad for absolutely no reason. And so, my initial reaction internally was like, what do you mean? Of course I can accept help. What are you talking about? I just don't want her to have to do this. But she was right. It took a minute. I had to get over my pride. And then I went back in there and I was like, you're right. I am not good at this. I don't accept help easily. I don't know why. And then, I kind of started talking it out. And I mean, there's no brilliant awareness other than the reality or the fact that I just feel like I should be able to do it myself. I feel like I shouldn't have to ask someone else to do something when I can do it. And I can see why I have that thought. It's fine. If I can do something, I should be able to do it. But it's also a really unhealthy thought when I have people in my life who are very generous in their time and who would be willing to do that. And I'm very lucky. There are lots of people in my life who are incredibly giving, incredibly generous with their time, and very caring, and would do anything for me and my family. And so it's a personal problem, right? It's me having, it's a pride thing, right? It's this pride that I shouldn't need the help, that I should be able to do it. And this is something that I obviously need to work on, but it's something that isn't coming from a negative place. It's not coming from a place of not trusting people. It's not coming from a place of not feeling like other people can do it. I know these people can do it. I know the people that offer to help are very capable, but it's more about me. It's about, what does it say about me that I need the help? What does it say about me that I can't do it? And of course, in a situation like today, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just circumstantial. I am at work and I can't be there. I've been there the last 2 days. My schedule is more flexible than my husband's. I can be at home to do these things, and it's more difficult. But today, neither of us could be there. If we had to, we would make it work. If my mother wasn't around, we would make it happen. But she's there, and she's able and offering her help. So I'm the one with the problem. And I admit that to you very honestly and freely. But I am the one with the problem. And so I am, having to really work on it. It's a tough nut to crack, because I remember months ago when I did the episode on asking for help, I was working on it then, and it's something that I always try to work on, but obviously not active. I wasn't actively working on it enough because I'm still struggling with it. And it might sound so simple to people who don't struggle with guilt, where it's like, why do you feel bad? Just get over it. But if you struggle with guilt, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very irrational feeling. It comes, I think, for some people, at least for me, it comes hand in hand with my anxiety. And it's irrational. Anxiety is irrational. This guilt is irrational, but it's something that's there, and it's something that I will have to counteract very intentionally and really work on it. And so, today I made the decision to not go home and just let my mom do that. But the feeling is still there. And that might be something that I deal with on and off for the rest of my life, where there's just this need to, I don't know, just a feeling of wanting to be able to do it myself and not disrupt other people. But then, the flip side of that is having this awareness makes me a very grateful person and a very thankful person. And that's important, because there are lots of people out there who accept help so easily but don't show appreciation. And they get to a point where they expect the help and they expect that someone's going to be there to kind of jump in and rescue. That is a huge issue too. No one wants to be taken advantage of. No one wants to be expected to do things without the acknowledgement or the appreciation. We don't do it for appreciation, but you notice when it's not appreciated. And that's just normal. It's human nature. But I want to make sure that I stay thankful and I stay appreciative, to the point where I probably say thank you too much, but that's just me. That's just my personality, and I'd rather say it too much than not enough. But I wanted to put that out there today. That's kind of my experience today. But the topic of guilt is such a huge huge one for people. So many people struggle with guilt of some kind. And like I said, it's typically revolving around something that we feel we should be doing that we're not doing. And it's usually something, there's times where you feel guilty and it's very legitimate and you should feel bad, and the guilt is motivating to help you do it better next time. Like if you forget to do something that someone else was relying on you for, well, yeah, you're going to feel guilty, but that's okay because that was your responsibility. It's okay to feel bad for a little bit, but then you have to shake it off and just kind of, you've apologized, you move on, and then don't do it again. Maybe set an alarm next time or whatever. So guilt can be very helpful in the sense of teaching us to make better choices next time or to be, more organized or whatever. But this guilt that comes from the high expectation that we have of ourselves, that's more problematic. I would categorize that as unhealthy guilt. I struggle with unhealthy guilt on a very regular basis. The feeling that I should be able to do certain things. If you're a mom, then you've probably used the term mom guilt, this feeling that you shouldn't be doing something because you should be home with your kids, or you did something that you felt wasn't great in the way that you parented your child. Now you have all this mom guilt. It's such a huge thing. It's a joke we laugh at among ourselves as moms, but it's real, and I am a struggler with that one. I struggle with that one a lot. And again, it's about expectations that we set. And most of the time, other people don't have these expectations of us, so we set them on ourselves. We feel that we should be able to do certain things, or that it is our responsibility to do things a very specific way. And there are times where that's accurate, but a lot of the time it's not. We are making it into a bigger deal than it actually is. And that was me today. You should have seen Stacy's face when she hears this. She's going to laugh. But when I went to her in my panic over something so small, she looked at me, and the look on her face was very much like, what are you doing? Why are you freaking out about this? You literally have your mom offering to help you, and you're sitting here feeling like you need to change your whole schedule to go home. And the look on her face is what made me realize it was crazy. And that was helpful. She was very nice about it and very kind, and she was very sweet in how she helped me see that I was crazy. But she didn't just tell me to go home. She didn't feed my crazy. She helped me challenge it, and that's what I needed. And I hope that I can do that for you today. What is the thing that you are driving yourself crazy about, where you are feeling guilty and you are creating this this expectation that's leaving you feeling bad about yourself? It could be something like not doing the dishes, or not making the bed, or not cleaning the house, or not going to the gym, or not making the phone call. All those things are important and you should aim to do them. But if you don't get them all done today, that's okay. It's okay if you're not perfect. It's okay that not all the things on the to-do list get done every day. Try to prioritize the most important ones, but the reality is life is busy, and you're going to have to figure out what to focus your attention on. Today, I need to focus my attention on work because my mom is there to help me. The past 2 days, I still had to work, but I was really thrown. My entire schedule was thrown because I had to prioritize taking care of my pet. And she's like a family member, so that's just what that had to look like. But I have help today, and honestly, if I had asked my mom yesterday or the day before, she would have been there in a heartbeat. But it's not always easy to do that. But I don't know. It's a tough thing to overcome. And if you are listening to this and you're like, I can't relate, I don't know what's wrong with you, then I'm sorry, this was a waste of your time to listen to this. But I do know that there are a lot of you out there who struggle with guilt. And, I wish I could pull out all kinds of examples for you to touch on every kind of guilt out there, but there's so many. So it really just is most easily summarized in that the idea of the feeling that you need to be doing something a certain way, you're not doing it, therefore you have somehow disappointed yourself or viewed yourself as a quote-unquote failure, and so now you feel guilty about it. And I just want you to know that that's not fair to do that to yourself. It's not fair that I'm doing that to myself. It's a waste of emotion and energy. Like, it exhausted me today. Like, I feel the burden of it. And again, if you can't relate to this, you probably think there's something very wrong with me. But it's such a normal thing. And again, I don't know where that comes from for me. I wasn't raised in a way where I was expected to be a perfect person. There's no perfectionism expectations at all. So I don't really know. You know, I couldn't tell you. I got to obviously think about it a little bit more and try to understand where it comes from. But I think more than anything, like I said earlier, for me, I think it's a pride, you know, an expectation that I have to do all the things. You know, growing up, my mom has always been the kind of person that can do so many things at once, and you know, just, you know, kind of watching her be the amazing mom that she was, and still is, and being able to fulfill all the responsibilities that came with her role in our family, and you know, helping in my dad's work, everything. Like, she was always great at everything. And so, you know, maybe there's some of that where I want to be that, you know, that same kind of mom and that same kind of person. But I think I have to accept that I am. You know, I am really good at the things that I do, but I'm not perfect. My mom's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But it's easy to look at someone else and all the things that they do and not notice that they also probably have struggled, or they didn't do everything the way they wish they would have done them. And just because it looks great from the outside doesn't mean it's as smooth as it looks, doesn't mean that it's always, you know, as easy as it looks. And I think that's one thing that a lot of us struggle with when we see other people do things in what looks like such an effortless way. Then we feel like we have to accomplish that too. And I need to just accept that, you know, I work a full-time job, I run a business, and that's going to prevent me from being perfect at home. Vice versa, I prioritize my family first over everything that's going to keep me from being perfect at work. So it's just okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not be able to do all the things without the help. But it is, you know, it's something that I'm going to have to keep working on. So if you have guilt that you know is coming from a place that's not really fair, or that's based on unrealistic expectations, just be mindful of that today. Challenge yourself, as I'm doing, to try to work on it, to try to let it go, let people help you, be okay with not getting everything done. And like I said, I'm doing the thing today, still feeling the feelings, but I'm, you know, working on letting it go. It's hard. It's harder, I guess easier said than done. But we'll just call it misplaced guilt. You know, it doesn't belong in this equation. The thing that's happening today doesn't have space for that guilt. It doesn't fit. It's not necessary. You know, so I'm injecting it in a way that it doesn't need to be there, and I'm complicating my situation by feeling this thing, by thinking about it the way that I'm thinking about it. You know, I am looking at the situation wrong. I'm taking a good situation, I'm applying a problem to it that doesn't need to be there. So I'm creating this in the way that I'm thinking and the way that I'm looking at it. So I have to correct that thought. I have to be able to look at this and say, it's okay that my mom wants to help. This is something that she loves doing. And yes, it's very helpful to my family, but it also brings her a lot of joy knowing that she's helping us and she's making my day easier. That's just what moms do, what good moms do at least. And I'm lucky to have one of those. But people, you know, we have friends who would do the same thing, neighbors who would do the same thing, extended family, you know, so it just, whoever it is in your life who is wanting to do that for you, do that. And that's something I know I would do. You know, right now I can think of so many people that if they were to call me and need help, I'm going to do it, you know. And so I know if I would do that for other people, then why am I surprised that people would do that for me? So whatever that is for you, whatever you need to ease up on and be a little bit more just easy on yourself, please try to do that. And just kind of make me feel like I'm not doing this by myself, I guess. So I hope that brought you some clarity, some help in something that might be going on for you. Thanks for listening to me ramble and kind of do a self-therapy session here with you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, bye.